All right, this video is on using our distributive property. Now we're going to first start talking about using our distributive property with area. So remember, area of a rectangle is the length times the width. If I have a length of 4 and a width of 5, this is just 4 times 5, or 20. Or you may have remembered using multiplication in kind of boxes like this. If I have m as a width and 7 as a length, so 7 times m, we would just write that as 7m. We generally put the number out in front. Remember, we call that our coefficient. 3 times a, or 3 by, if it's 3 by a, then it's just the area is 3a. If I have x and x, it's x times x, or remember that that is our exponent to the power of 2. It's multiplying by itself. Now let's look at if we have a situation like this. We have two boxes. This one's 4 by x. This one just has 3 up here, but remember that this length or width, this width right here is the same. So we have a 4x and a 4 by 3. So 4x, 4 times x, and then 4 times 3 is 12. This has a length of 7 and a width of a. This has a width of a, but remember again, the width is the same, so it's going to be 7. So 7 times a is going to be 7a. And 7 times 9 is going to be 63. X by x, remember we just did that one. That's going to be our x squared. And x by 2 is 2x. So as we kind of use these ideas of area, we're going to kind of keep building to see how we use our distributive property. So what we're going to look at just really quick here is, well, here's a segment, and this segment is x, a length of x, and this segment has a length of 9, and we want to put them together. We want to find the total length. This is x, this is 9. We put them together. We can do that by addition. This would be x plus 9. This is x, this is 4. Put them together. Add them, x plus 4. This is a and this is 2. Put them together, a plus 2. Now we're going to kind of put everything that we've done so far into using what we call our distributive property. Now, the distributive property is essentially a setup like this, a box setup like this. I have 5 here, and I have the x and 7. So this x and 7 is like this right here. So we can write that as x plus 7, and then we have to multiply both of those parts by 5. Now the distributive property, the way that we would do that is we multiply the 5 times the x and multiply the 5 times the 7. So 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 7 is 35. Let's try this one. First, let's do our parentheses part. And that's going to be like this segment right here, the x and the 12. So we would write it as x plus 12. But the width is x. So we have to multiply everything by x. To use that distributive property, we're going to multiply both parts, because that's what we were doing here. We were essentially multiplying both parts by that number out front. X times x, we've kind of talked about that. That's our x squared. And then x times 12, we just write it as a plus, because that's a plus sign right there, 12x. And that is our distributive property right here. how we do this multiplication. Let's try this one. I do a and 8, so we have to add those together. A plus 8, and then our width is a here. So there's our area as a product, and now we're going to distribute or multiply both parts, everything, by that number out in front. So a times a is going to be a squared plus a times 8 is 8a. Now, as we use these, this is what we call our distributive property. This sum is using our distributive property. But as we do this, we don't always want to draw these rectangles. So what I do is I just go ahead and they're written like this, so I multiply that through. So we'll skip these. You can cross those out. We're going to do 14 and 20, and then I'm going to have you do 16 and 18. I have the 4 out in front. I have to multiply the 4 by both parts. We have to distribute, and we have to be fair. So I multiply the 4 by both things in there. 4 times x is just 4x. Then I have my plus sign. 4 times 7 is 28. Write it just like that. Now let's look at number 20. We're going to do number 20. I multiply the 4 by both parts, but this time it's a negative 4 out in front. So negative 4 times a is just going to be a negative 4a. And the other thing that's different right now is we have a subtraction sign here. Normally we've always had addition. But I think of this as a negative 4, and I think of this as a negative 4 as well. So negative 4 times negative 4, remember, a negative times a negative is a positive, and then we have 16. All right, so pause the video right here, and I'm going to write in your solutions for these so you can check them. All right, so let's move on to the next page. You can go ahead and skip this part. We're going to skip that for right now. Now, this is, we've kind of just talked about this a little bit with some of these different examples. You saw just a couple of them in the last little video, or last little part of the video. But we're going to just kind of have this as a rule for you. So if this is kind of what we started with, a times b plus c, so then you multiply the a times the b and a times the c. I like to draw these little arrows above there. That kind of helps me know that I'm going to multiply the a times the b and a times the c. As you get through this, we might have more than 2 terms in here in the parentheses. We might have 3 or 4, and so it just helps me remember, okay, what am I multiplying? So an example of that is I'm going to multiply the 3 times the 4 and the 3 times the 2 to figure out that solution. A could also be on the back end of it. That's okay. We could have b plus c plus a, or times a. Remember, we said order doesn't matter with multiplication. So in this case, I'm going to multiply the 2 times the 3 and the 2 times the 5. We also just saw that you can use this with subtraction. And again, a times the b, and then a times the c. And we just subtract them this time. So we'd have ab minus ac. In an example, I'd do 5 times the 6 minus 5 times the 4. And again, with multiplication, order doesn't matter, so I can have the a on the back side as well. And so we'd have b times the a and then c times the a. So in this case, I would do the 8 times 4 minus, because there's a minus sign there, and then do the 6 times the 4. Let's look at a couple of examples, and then I'm going to have some for you to work on as well. So just like we did before, we did 3 times x, and then 3 times the 2, so 3 times x, and then 3 times 2. 3 times x is just 3x, plus 3 times 2 is 6. Two times r, and then 2 times a minus 4. So 2 times r is 2r, and then, oops, we just have a 4 there. And then we have our 4 there. We have the minus sign right there. So 2 times r is going to be 2r minus 2 times 4, which is 8. Now this one we have the n on the back side, or the thing that we're multiplying by. So the first thing that we're going to do is n times n, and then we're going to do our 6 times n. N times n is n squared, plus 6 times n. Now notice I left all of these just the way that they are. It's because they don't have any like terms. If for some reason you do have like terms, you can combine those like terms, but in each of these problems we didn't have that. So what I'd like you to do is take a few moments and work on these. Pause the video right now, and then we will, then you can check your answers. All right, and that's going to end this video, and then now you can move on to your assignment.